So we have seen in the previous chapter that many beautiful theoretical results were obtained. A strong building was constructed for economics based on ordinal principles, also very well used in empirical applications, but still problems came. Now we go to chapter 2. More and more empirical problems occurred for this ordinal approach with Homo economicus. And the first small signal was maybe arrow voting paradox, problem in social choice. Already 1951 published, got Nobel Prize for it again. So he showed that if you have a voting procedure and you impose a few natural conditions that everybody says, yeah, we should satisfy that. And already it cannot be. You get a paradox. So that was a central result. And until about 20 years ago, every economics student would routinely learn it. Nowadays, it's no more standard part. Probably many of you don't know his voting paradox, and we don't have the time to go deep this course. But the basic idea I can explain to you. The basic idea can be seen in what is known as the Condorcet paradox. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example from a medical journal, medical application. My experience with applied work comes from health domain. I worked 8 years in a hospital as applied economist. So many of my examples come from that domain. Here's a beautiful case where, in fact, the Condorcet paradox was bugging people. This was a medical team, heart specialists. They had to decide on a treatment for a heart patient, and there were three. There was CABG and PCI. They abbreviate complicated operations. And there was also a regular medical treatment. I will not explain these things. I don't know them myself, I must say. But this team had to come to a decision. And in the table, you see indicated the preferences. The first member thought CABG is best, then PCI, and medical treatment is worst. The others had the preferences like here. And they apparently more or less subconsciously, they wanted to go by majority preference, come to a treatment. And maybe they first considered, shall we do medical treatment, the regular medical treatment? But then 2 out of 3 said, no, that's not good. PCI is better. Although the other didn't agree, the majority. So they said, no, PCI is better. Then when they thought about PCI, there were 2 out of 3 saying that CABG is better. So we said, no, surely not PCI. CABG is better. So we better go for that. Okay, we do CABG. But then there were 2 out of 3, these ones, saying, wait a minute, we don't want CABG. Medical treatment is better, so we should go for medical treatment. Like that, they came into a circle, which is in fact the Condorcet paradox. So it happens, majority preference can lead to such preference cycles, to intransitivities. This is well known in economics and voting theory. But in many practical, there's also been a famous case long ago in the Dutch parliament, was still Den Uyl, many of you don't know, but he was a prime minister. And he and his ministers all night, they were discussing something to do. They also got caught in such a cycle, they were not aware of it. And all night they couldn't come to a decision. So many, I don't know if it's funny, but remarkable practical situations occurred where this was bugging people, where they got stuck. But this example shows, this is an example of the Condorcet paradox, that majority preferences can violate transitivity, which is not a nice thing. So what should you do? Because majority preference is quite a natural thing to go. But this is a simple example. So Arrow, he had a more sophisticated impossibility theorem, basically extending this. But this was the basic puzzle for the field. And if I may give an intuitive interpretation of what is happening there, for instance, if you look at person 2, prefers PCI to CABG. In majority preference, this is just counted as 1. But you can see this person has a strong preference. The other 2 prefer CABG, but they have weaker preferences. So you should, in a way, count this more than the other preferences. That's an explanation why this is going wrong. You don't reckon with how strong the preferences are. That's why this cannot be a very good rule, this majority rule in this manner. Well, in the spirit of the ordinal approach was trying to ignore such cardinal information. So utility difference should never play a role. They try to get by with ordinal information. So the explanation that I'm giving you why things are going wrong don't sit easily with the ordinal approach. So this was already, so here I write it one more time. I think if my view is what I learned from this and other examples, and many people have written that, you can't get by with only ordinal information. You sometimes need more cardinal information, utility differences. So that was already a first problem for the ordinal approach, but you don't throw away all your theory, all your work if there's just one problem. There's a Dutch saying, don't throw away your old shoes before you have new ones. And every model, every theory has problems and we have to live with it. So this problem alone was not enough to give up the ordinal approach, but more to come. Well, there was a whole field developed, many people are writing all kind of papers on these voting theorems, but we have no time to get into it. We go to the next problem, decision under risk, the Allais paradox, another early problem for the ordinal approach, and that will be in the next recording.